How would you describe your relationship with money in one word?
Unreliable. I've always been labelled as the one that's bad with money.
It's a bit like awkward, really, isn't it?
I think women perhaps are maybe more upfront with things like that.
And have you sort of been caught out by anything like that?
I got myself into credit cards when I was 18, paying 3, for example. It's literally advertising that you can get away with this. It's like this ticking grenade. And eventually I knew that was going to come out, trying to get to the letterbox before, my wife has opened the post. I've started laying in bed at night going, she's going to find out. And that is really hard to be in, particularly with someone you love.
What's the one golden piece of money advice that you'd give to someone else?
I think it would just to be...
So Darren,
Yep.
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
As I've done with every guest, I've given you a list of things just to introduce yourself with. You've got them on your phone there.
Yeah.
Can you just run through those for us?
Yes. So it's Darren Hemingway-Guy. I'm 33 as of last week. Living situation, I have a mortgage. I'm trying to move house in 2 weeks' time.
Fun and games.
Job is I'm a detective in the police. Salary, I think I make a good salary for my job, I think. I don't have any children, but I do have a baby on the way next month.
Nearly.
So that's all going to change.
Exciting
shortly.
times.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to hit you with a big one to start off with. How would you describe your relationship with money in one word?
In one word. Need to get the dictionary out.
It's tough for a reason.
Unreliable.
Unreliable. Why do you say that?
Because only the last couple of months, I think, where we've been sorting out mortgages and talking about being forced to talk about money has forced me to be more open about my finances, which previously I've always been quite private about, even to myself, even though you're married and you go through all these different stages of life. I think maybe just our generation of people, or just me, I don't know. I tend to be quite... don't want to be too open about any mistakes I've made, or rather than just being upfront, I'd rather just keep it to myself and let it eat me up.
Yeah. So you're there talking about the profile of the classic Brit.
Definitely. Yep.
And is that unreliable? Is that you feel like you're unreliable, or the money situation's unreliable?
I think I have been unreliable. I think even just in the process of moving house has even taught me a lot. Yeah, I'd say probably unreliable up to now, maybe in the last few months, and having to be better, be more honest with myself, with my wife, with people around me, and actually just talking about money and that being okay is still something odd, still something quite strange in that, but necessary.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think the talking with your partner thing is interesting. One of my friends introduced me something that we do now, which is a money meeting, which sounds very like hardcore. Yeah. But it's a monthly meeting. You sit down, you just go through what's coming in, what's coming out, why, where, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What does like that concept do in your brain when you think of that, doing that with your partner?
Yeah, it's a concept I haven't heard of. I think in my mind kind of already goes to the extreme of like going for every transaction in your statement, perhaps, purely because I want to show to myself now that what I'm spending my money on is the right things. But that is a good idea. Yeah.
And how often before this kind of recent kind of, as you said, forced scenario where you've had to sort of talk with your partner about money, how often would you talk about money with your partner? Would you just be never at all?
I think from our relationship, I've always been labelled as the one that's bad with money.
Oh, really?
Grace or my partner, my wife has always been a saver, always been very good with money, whereas I will always, or have done, wanted the latest things or bought things to make myself feel better about myself, perhaps, and not really thought about the financial consequences or actually saving money and what that means.
They say there's like a spender and a saver in every relationship. So is that your dynamic? You're the spender?
Yeah, I think even from like looking at my parents' relationship as well, my mum has always been the spender and my dad's been the saver.
Right.
So I don't know if that kind of filters down a little bit as well. I have been more of like an impulse buyer rather than thinking, do I need it? And certainly in the last year, perhaps I've forced myself to kind of go, do I really need that, wood fire barbecue for 400 quid? Is that really going to make a difference in my life? Or should I put that towards, having a baby? And I think I've probably been quite selfish in terms of my own marriage and relationship with money to go, well, that's what I want and I don't need to worry about anything else because I have a house and I have a car that works. And I've been able to be selfish about it and not have to think about anything else. Whereas I think where I'm now buying a house with my wife and both of our names are on it, for example, it's put things into perspective a lot more around what I need to, and having a baby, obviously.
Never get that small footnote.
Yeah, but just having to think about the future more.
Yeah.
Even looking at life insurance and what the actual terms of that are and all sorts of things like that, rather than just going, oh, I want a new iPhone. Not really knowing why, just because I want to be seen by other people to be doing well, I guess. But actually, even like that book we were talking about earlier, what is wealth, really?
Exactly.
Is wealth just being happy and content in what you have? And yeah, so.
And you mentioned obviously your mum and dad having that kind of spender-saver dynamic.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything from your parents that you've picked up, like money habits or the way you think about money, picked up from them?
I don't think we ever really talked about saving money growing up, really. I'm an only child. I know the stigma that comes with that of being spoiled. I'd say. And I got pocket money for not really doing anything of any note. And actually now looking back, and now that I'm having my own child, I'm kind of thinking, well, I'm going to get them to do stuff of use and they won't get that until they've done it.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if they just wanted a bit more of an easier life or they didn't want to cause me any trouble or bother me. I don't know. It's hard to tell, I think.
That's it. Well, interestingly, so I'm one of three and I had the same pocket money dynamic. So I didn't have to work for it.
Yeah.
I've just given it. And I think that definitely set me up in a way that I didn't really appreciate the value of money, which I think there's a bit more of a focus on that as parents, especially our generation.
Whereas now I'm looking at baby clothes and going, well, that's on the sale for £8, for example, from 15.
Yeah.
And then part of me is thinking, well, I used to get that as pocket money per week at a certain age. And I didn't do anything of any use with it. If I would have saved that, where would I be now? But again, no one tells you that. And that's probably why we're here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The millennial generation. And do you talk or have you spoken much with your parents about money and relationship with money? Or has it not really happened? For me, I just never have. Never do.
No, I think it's that maybe British thing where no one talks about what they earn. I could probably guess what my parents earn per year, but I've never seen it.
No.
I've never talked about it. And maybe it's a pride thing. I don't think any parent ever wants to tell their child, we can't do that this month or we can't afford that. And maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out when I am a parent.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell. And when I think about sort of how I've managed money over the years, I think back to in my sort of early 20s, my relationship with my bank account was I didn't want to have a relationship with it. I didn't want to look at it. I never sort of checked it. Fast forward to today, 33, and I'm looking at it every day. How often are you checking your sort of banking app, I guess, these days?
Yeah, I'd say every day as well. I think when the text alerts first started coming out a few years ago, it was helpful, but it was also quite nerve-wracking if you knew you didn't have much money in your bank and then suddenly you're getting a text saying, oh, this has now come out, and you're like, oh, I didn't even plan for that.
Yes.
Or you'd signed up to I don't know, the AA breakdown cover, and then suddenly next month you've forgotten it's come out.
Yeah.
You've got 50 quid left all of a sudden. But yeah, I'm checking. I don't think I check it out of worry. I don't check my Starling app out of worry, but I'm curious to just know how much I've got. But I think that's more of being in a more of a planning position to go, well, if this happens now, I know I've got that amount in the bank to help sort things out.
Yeah, so it's like an empowering thing, right? Because that's how I've found it is when you don't look at it, you're not in control of it.
Yeah.
You don't have the power over your funds. If you're checking every day, which might be a bit excessive, you can be in charge of it, right? I mean, when I look at it, I think I'm looking at it from an assurance kind of perspective of okay, yes, I have got money to cover whatever I need. Is that kind of same for you, or are you thinking a bit more ahead? when you look at like what you've got?
I think probably with the newer apps, even with like the saving spaces, because are you with Starling as well?
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of like the other apps like Monzo do similar things, don't they, with the pots and things.
Yeah.
I think even with that, that's something that our parents probably never had, and certainly I didn't growing up. When you don't have to open a separate savings account and go into the bank and speak to someone, you can just put money aside and have it hidden away. More so, it's a couple of extra clicks on an app, isn't it? But essentially it's going, well, I know that money is in that bit, and the app quickly tells me how much I've got in that other bit, which is my sort of safe space. And the amount of spaces you can even set up. I've got like baby fund now, which I've been putting in 20 quid a month, for example. Car MOT, car insurance, things like that. All things that you're told to, or maybe, I don't remember my parents ever telling me to budget for things like that, but they're coming up.
Yes.
And like you might get emails saying, oh, your car insurance is due. And you think, oh, that's 400 quid that I've got to pay in February. And if you hadn't planned for that and put it in a space, for example, then I might worry about it. But I do think things like that do help you out a bit more than they used to.
And it's kind of like, obviously, we reference the psychology of money. It's the reason it's up there.
Yep.
And a lot of people say that money just is psychological. So having that visual of spaces and places, specific areas that you're sending money to, I think it's just a game changer, right? Mm-hmm. When someone says to you, I can't afford this, what does that mean to you?
I think I just would try and put myself in their position. And again, probably because I'm a bit older now, 33 now, if I was in my 20s, I might have thought they've made an error, or that's their fault. Whereas now I kind of put myself in people's shoes a bit more and kind of say, well, that's okay. I think I respect them more for actually even saying it, rather than putting it on a credit card. Or I find myself even looking over people's shoulders when they're paying for things, for like coffees on their like cards and things, and I think, oh, what are they paying for that with, or what card are they using? Because it all comes up on like Apple Pay, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it will say like, MasterCard, and you're thinking, oh, you're paying for a coffee on your credit card. And not to judge, but I find it quite interesting.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the question was.
That's right. You basically answered it there.
Well, if someone says they can't afford it,
yeah,
I just think, well, I respect you more for saying that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a nice thing to know, actually, because I think, like you say, there's a bit of stigma around that. If you're like, oh, come on, all the lads are going to Nando's, cheeky Nando's, and you're like, yeah, sorry, I can't afford it. It's a bit like awkward, really, isn't it, these days?
I do find from like the last couple of years, though, even with like, my wife organising hen do's, and I think women perhaps are maybe more upfront with things like that.
Yes.
To say I can't afford to do that, particularly with like wedding things, hen do's, birthday parties, holidays. I don't think men would, maybe not all men, but I don't think 10 years ago I would have said, look, guys, I can't afford to do that. I'd have just gone, I'll borrow it, or
just take the hit.
Credit card. Yeah. And you worry about it later. And that's the kind of selfish thing that I've probably come back to that I mentioned earlier. Whereas now, you have to be a bit more responsible, don't you?
Well, all right. We're going to go to the shop now, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to the supermarket. You're doing your weekly shop.
Yeah.
When you're perusing the aisles, how much thought are you putting into like the individual cost of things? When I go shopping, I'm looking out for anything like a yellow sticker, like all the sales stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And B, intently looking at like the grammage per pound thing. Maybe it's something to do with being married to an accountant. I don't know. But what is your kind of mindset when you're doing the shop? Do you like not think about it at all? Are you looking into it in that forensic detail? Are you somewhere in the middle?
Again, probably 5 years ago, probably wouldn't have even bothered.
Wouldn't have thought about it at all.
The last sort of 2 or 3 years, I've probably, maybe the last year more so, I'd say. And knowing we're having a baby and things, I've kind of thought, right, let's get the value here. But even then, I think even the yellow labels on things, like, you could look at a chocolate sundae on the side and you hadn't gone in there for that, because it's 90p instead of £2, you go on, I should get that. But even then, that's like something you didn't go in for, isn't it? That's like, but yeah, I find myself checking use by dates more. I find myself checking, how much you're getting for what you're paying. And I think where shopping generally has gone up cost-wise, people want value for things. And I wouldn't say I've gone to different shops just to buy certain items.
No.
But you do get, we go to Lidl, and I don't have any shame in saying that. I remember when my dad said that when I was growing up, oh, I'll get that at Lidl. You kind of laugh it off and you go, why are you going there? But actually now I'm like, yeah, it's good value stuff, and it comes from the same place.
Yeah. We talked about Psychology of Money before the podcast. You've just read it on holiday.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing your homework for the podcast. And there's a concept in the book. I've called it the man in the car paradox.
Yeah.
And he talks about being a valet outside hotels when he was younger. And he'd see all these cool cars driving in and would be like, oh, look how cool that car is. And he would say that the people who buy those cars are doing it to look cool. But he never thought about the drivers. All he thought about was the car. Mm-hmm. And you kind of touched on it a bit earlier. Yeah. Do you think that you do, or you have bought things to sort of put forward an image of, wealth, or I'm doing well, or I ought to get the newest iPhone, for example, so that I'm sort of keeping up with the Joneses, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've definitely been guilty of it the last couple of years, where what I would say is I think shops and online places are definitely pushing you more to put things on finance. And I know there's a bit in the media at the moment about like Klarna, for example, saying, oh, it is this, or you could pay in 3. And even Amazon, I think for most things now, they kind of say you buy something for 40 quid, but you can pay for over 12 months of like 6 quid a month, whatever it'll be, just for something basic. And it's that constant enabling, I think. And if you're ever, like I have been, if you're worried about finances and putting things on credit cards, you look for the easy way out to kind of go, well, that will get me by for this month, but I need to fulfill that thing of I'm doing okay. And, would I be happy to spend £200 out of my bank on ASOS for a load of clothes, or would I be happy to spend, 30 quid and pay for it over the next 6 months? Oh, well, I'll take the later option because I get what I want and I don't have to worry about it as much. And then I still have, theoretically, the money in my bank, even though it's already allocated.
And have you sort of been caught out by anything like that? Have you got like biggest money regret?
I got myself into credit cards when I was 18. As soon as I moved out.
Come through the post?
Yeah. Yeah, Tesco credit card with a little strawberry on it. Credit limit of like £2,000 because I was 18. And I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. I just have this like unlimited amount of money. And it even comes back to, it sounds silly now, I think there was an episode of Arthur on BBC.
Great show.
Yeah. And the girl in that, I don't know if anyone else has seen it, but the girl on that with the rich dad like goes out with his credit card for the day. And I think there's even a song, I can't remember what it is. Maybe we'll look it up and put it in at the end of this podcast. But the girl in that takes her dad's credit card out for the day. And it's like a real like lesson of an episode. Obviously I didn't watch it enough, but yeah, I got that credit card at 18 and I thought, well, I really want an iMac, so I'm just going to buy it on this. And then, earning probably just over £1,000 a month when I was 18, I thought, well, without any bills coming out, I thought, well, I've kind of made this impulse decision, and then I'm instantly now worrying about it, how I'm going to pay for it. But even that, like, what checks do you have to do to even get those kind of funds? You just kind of give them your details and hope it comes through, and then you've got this money that it's actually not yours. And now only being 33, sadly, I've now come to realise that maybe I should have thought about that.
Yeah. And did that hit you? Did you get a credit hit or something along the lines of that when you did that? Or was it just because you had the instant regret afterwards of, okay, now I've got to pay for it?
Yeah, and I think, again, even just coming back to parents and stuff and them sort of presuming how much money you're probably earning, and then them going, well, why are you on iMac? And I wasn't doing anything media or related or needed one. I just thought, oh, I want one.
Yeah.
But rather than saving up for it, I took the easy option, which is what I've been doing. Got myself in trouble with, Klarna building up and, paying 30 days, pay over 6 months. And eventually all of that just catches up with you.
Mm.
And then you're kind of living month to month, even though you're earning quite a good wage. You end up doing overtime and not being with your family. And then, I've been to the stage of like, not hiding post, but like trying to get to the letterbox before my wife has opened the post. And even just stupid questions that I would worry about, like, oh, what was that? And you go, oh, it's the gas board, or even though it was like you need to make this payment now. I don't miss any payments, but just that like little reminder, just that like little nudge to go, that thing you haven't told your wife about, here's a little letter, here's a little reminder, just for you to try and explain when she asks about it. So again, I think just not being open about things as well.
It's a key thing.
A problem.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a bit of research into it, and there are several bits of research that say 1 in 5 people break up because of money problems. So it kind of, that demonstrates the point, right? If you don't talk about it in a relationship, you're in trouble. Yeah. I think what has even caused this kind of realization and action I've had to take in the last 3 or 4 months, perhaps, is we've applied for a mortgage for this new house. And on the mortgage, they've put these conditions of, the stuff I've had to fill out online to get the mortgage. And they've said, well, we want these things paid off. And having not told my wife about it, she's then seen the mortgage offer and gone, well, what's all these conditions? Hang on, what's all this? Pay off Tesco credit card for $4,000 by July or whatever. And suddenly then I've ruined our relationship, and I've ruined, confidence in me for some time of being trusted with any kind of money. And suddenly I'm finding myself and, being asked and told to be upfront and go, show me when you've paid that off. Because at the moment, because of what you've done, I don't trust a word you say about money. And that is really hard to be in, particularly with someone you love. And it's like this ticking grenade. And eventually I knew that was going to come out. And I was, the last 6 months leading up to even when we started looking for houses, I've started laying in bed at night going, she's going to find out. But, for whatever reason, maybe my own selfishness or confidence in myself to fix it myself, and the shame of having to tell someone about my problems, I'd rather just deal with it myself and cry about it in my sleep, which is amazing, isn't it? Because say you had a health problem, you wouldn't go, oh, I've got this like pain in my side. You wouldn't just go, oh, I'll just leave that. No.
Or I won't tell anyone about it.
No.
Or, suddenly you can't see. You're not just going to go, well, this should be fine.
No.
Are you? But for some reason, I think with me, particularly with money, I've just had this, I'm too proud to go, I've messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is difficult.
It's hard in any circumstance to admit to something that you feel guilty about, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think having gone through that now, are you feeling quite a bit better? Having gone through that, you've spoken with your wife about it.
Yeah. But, the thing is, I think even with that, is that wasn't her finding out about me having credit cards, wasn't my doing. It was still the bank's letter having to tell her on my behalf, and then her being more angry and upset at me because I hadn't just told her, and actually going, do you know what, if you would have just had a conversation about this, we could have worked it out, but I'm more pissed at you because you didn't tell me.
Well, one of the questions I had was, if there's one money conversation you could have with someone else that would improve your life more than any other, what would it be? But it sounds like you've had that conversation now.
Yeah, I think it's just be, I don't know if it comes with age or your own circumstances about if you buy or rent and things, but I think if you're doing, maybe it's my job, if you're stressed in your job or you're worried about things and you want to feel better because you've seen something not very nice, or I think my job's maybe a bit more unique. Maybe if you're like an A&E nurse and you're seeing horrible stuff at the same time, I think if you're going through certain stresses and you want to feel good about having things that make you feel better temporarily, like a new phone or a stupid barbecue or whatever, I think some people may be more vulnerable to, I don't think like being exploited by, ASOS is the right term, but
yeah,
there's definitely more, it's basically advertising, even paying 3, for example. It's literally advertising that you can get away with this.
Yeah.
Rather than if you had to go and, go to the shopkeeper, for example, like you would in the 1920s, and say, oh, I'd like to buy this Apple Watch. And they go, yeah, it's 600 quid. And you go, yeah, I haven't got that. And they go, well, you can't have it then. And then someone behind him goes, you could pay for it over 12 months if you want. And he go, don't listen to him. but that's not there.
No.
So you've always got this kind of option of worry about this later. And I think if you're going through certain things in life or certain stresses and you want the easy way out and the less stressful thing, I think it works. And that's probably why things are successful.
Capitalism. Welcome.
Yeah.
Now, this is not strictly an advice podcast at all, but I think it's always helpful to get advice from everyday people like yourself, because it kind of opens the door to what real people have experienced rather than what an expert says or what an investor suggests. Mm-hmm. What's the one golden piece of money advice that you'd give to someone else based on your experience, or perhaps that you've received from someone else that you'd then pass on?
I think it would just to be honest with yourself about what you're earning, what you want to save for, and use whatever method works for you to keep a track of your money rather than blowing it on things you think you need at the time, because life happens. And sometimes, you could be sat there with a load of brand new clothes that you've paid for on finance. But actually, if your car breaks down and you haven't got the spare money, then you're in trouble. And you don't want to get yourself in like a debt spiral of having to constantly borrow, which is what I've done, essentially, in the last couple of years. And it just ends up eating you up. And I've never, even just being a kid, I don't think you worry about money because you don't have to. You take everything for granted, and suddenly when the money's your own, it's a lot more personal.
Well, as a father-to-be, look forward to having a sport brat child who takes it for granted. Darren, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you very much.